All right. So, um, just wanted to interview you today because over the course of our time in English, we've been learning about biographies and writing them. And now we've gone over an assignment where we are having to choose a certain moment about a person that seeing them in a moment really changed the way that we thought about them or impacted us in whatever way. So for me, I just wanted to get your thoughts and mindset on a certain moment that I say would really stuck with me. It was when I was a kid. I remember going to Cup Foods. We didn't have that much money at the time, and you told us, hey, you were pretty blunt with us and said, I only have $10, and how are you gonna make the stretch? So I want to get your mindset on that event. So the first question I want to ask you is, what moments from your life or your childhood would you say affected you the way you acted that day?
Well, I can say that I grew up in a one parent, single income household. And then at the time that we had this event, your father had passed away. So you too were living in a single parent, one income household and just trying to make ends meet, raising a family, having a house to take care of, and just bills. And that I saw my mom, how she always says that, my needs and the house needs always came before hers. There was plenty of times that she always made sure I had something to eat. Um, and she might not have eaten. She might only ate once that day or something. Um, so I just knew we were going to make it work. Everyone was going to have something to eat. Might not have been what you wanted, but it was something that we weren't going to go without. And um, just prayed about it, and God made that $10 stretch the whole week.
Would you say those effects are more positive or negative? And if so, why?
I would say at the moment, I would look at it as something negative because I was stuck in a pattern, in a cycle that this is what I grew up in. Now I'm in this position and now my children are in it. And that's not something I ever wanted. When my children became grown, I don't want them to have to live in that cycle either. Um, but now seeing a couple of them now on their own, they haven't fallen into that same trap or difficult time that I knew as a child, that they knew as a child. So that, in that essence, that's a positive piece of it.
So now sticking with the same event, where was your mindset dealing with this event? And is there anything from your life that truly grounded you?
Can you repeat the first part?
What was your mindset dealing with this event? And is there anything that grounded you?
I feel like at that time I was just in survival mode, just trying to make it work, trying to keep it moving. I would say probably the thing that kept me grounded was God. If I didn't have church, if I didn't have my prayer partners, I I wouldn't be at the right mindset at that time.
Is there anything more specific, would you say, in the aspect of either God or certain people, whether they might have said something or did something? Was there anything more specific that would you say kept you in the right headspace?
Yep, because there were times, especially right after your father died, I would just randomly get blessed with a gift card to a grocery store. I remember one time there was a moment where we only had one meal left in the freezer, and I opened it up and I said, God, I only have one meal left, and payday wasn't for a few days. And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to work it out. And I remember coming home from work that day, and there was 2 bags of groceries sitting on my doorstep. So God has shown up, and He had never let us go without eating, ever.
Yes. Now, was there anyone, has there been anyone from your life who either inspired you or taught you certain things to help you become the person that you were eventually in that moment that was able to persevere?
Um, I would definitely I think my prayer partners at that time were very encouraging and, you know, um, but I would also say, in a different kind of sense of like that, I think what inspired me too was I didn't want my children to ever have to live a life like that after this. So just trying to make sure that food was always on the table, bills were always paid. You know, we always had somewhere to eat, we always had somewhere to sleep. Those were the most important things. And I guess that was more of an inspiration of making it through, staying positive, keeping it moving so that that cycle wouldn't keep repeating itself.
And sticking in that same area with prayer partners, was there anything specifically that any one of them might have either said or did that truly helped stick with you, or did they teach you some sort of life lesson that helps stick with you now, or scripture, or whatever the case may be?
I guess probably one of them, Shirley, my niece, was the one who was always positive and, you know, basically Philippians 4 and 13, right? 4 and 13, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthened me. So I always knew, she always was my cheerleader, encouraged me, like saying, Barb, you got this. You can keep going. You can do this. And that was just kind of what helped at that time.
And is there anything, reflecting back on that moment now, is there anything at all that you feel that you could have done differently in the moment, or is there anything before that moment you feel you could have done to either avoid it or just make it not as bad as it was?
I don't really feel like there was really too much that I could have done differently, because obviously it was unexpected of your father's death, and I just had to roll with the punches and just do life as it is. Maybe something that I might have done differently, even though you've learned so much from it, maybe I might not have really expressed what we're really going through, and just kind of kept it and just always provided, and not maybe made you guys know what always the struggle was. I don't know if that was necessarily a good thing or not.
And lastly, is there any sort of lessons that you would say you learned from this experience that still either guide you to this day, or you would want us or just another generation or just people in general to learn so that they themselves are not in the same experience as you were?
Don't live above your means. Always make sure you can put a little money aside to save. Don't take out of a credit card or loan, or more than what you need or can spend. If you can pay it in cash, pay it in cash. If you can't, then don't get it. Always make sure you got you have a home to be in, you got food to eat, because that provides peace and comfort. And yeah, just being that good steward over your money and not just live frivolously.
Do you at any way feel like these lessons can be applied to every portion of any person's life, or would some of these lessons be only specific for a certain person or a certain group of people dealing with a specific experience like this?
Nope, I think finances, that goes across the board, because people that make a lot of money still can struggle and not have much money to live off of. There are people who make lots of money that still live paycheck to paycheck because they're not being a good steward over their money. And then, vice versa type thing.
All right, that is the conclusion of this interview. Thank you so much, Mom, for allowing me to ask you some of these questions. And just thank you just for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.